Everyone, welcome to Hang Out with Coach Kerry. My name's Kerry Brown, and if you've been watching my episodes every week, you know that what I do is I provide you with tips and strategies, ways for you, the small business owner and solopreneur, to be successful in your business. And I'm really excited about today because I'm having an expert interview today. You know, most of the time I'm the one who's doing the talking, and I have a panelist of my Academy members who ask me coaching questions. But today I wanted to provide you some information on money. So are you an entrepreneur? Are you a solo entrepreneur who struggles with issues around money? Are you one that, you know, there's never enough money to pay the bills? You have this constant fear. You might find yourself from time to time thinking, I just need more clients, I just need more clients. Well, a lot of that has to do with what's going on in your head. And today, my guest is going to help you unpack all of that so you can have a much healthier relationship with money and how that affects you in your business. So I'm really excited. The title of our episode is How to Overcome Your Greatest Money Challenges in Business. So if that's you, stay right to the very end because you're going to get some great tips. I'm honored today to have a long-term friend and expert in the industry, Shari Molchan, to share with you her wisdom. And let me just read you a little bit about Shari's background. And for that, I'm going to have to put my glasses on. So here we go. She's called the Kick-Ass Money Coach. She's a down-to-earth financial advisor and money relationship specialist. She's been spotlighted on EWomen Network, Women Warriors Radio, International Life Coach Radio, The Reinvention Show, and Unemployable Women magazine, to name just a few. She's been described as a connector, a leader, and a make it happen kind of gal. Shari loves to challenge what people think about money when they're living in lack and with fear. What fires her up is inspiring them to stop letting money be the excuse and start using it as a catalyst to everything and anything their heart desires. And I see this so often in business that it holds them back from taking steps to move their business forward. When she's not demystifying money for unstoppable men and women, you can find her working on lowering her golf handicap, sipping a glass of wine with the girls, or chasing her grandbabies. Her first book, Maximum Money Momentum, was released in February 2011 with an encore in the works. So today you're going to find out how to get money peace of mind, especially when it comes to your business. So welcome, Shari. Say hello to our audience today.
Thanks, Kerry. Hi, everybody. I'm happy to be here, and I'm so proud of you, Kerry, with this Hang Out with Coach Kerry, and honored to be one of your guests. I've been a big fan of yours for a long time, and we've been friends for a long time. So I am privileged and honored and grateful to be here with you today and to help the women out there.
Yes, well, yeah. Well, you never know. There might be some men from time to time watching this, and so absolutely for men and women. And you know, Shari, you like I are passionate, and we get our inspiration from knowing we can make a difference in the world with the information that we bring out there. And my hunch is most of our audience are exactly the same position. What's happening for them though is they're struggling around their issues around money, because as you and I both know, money covers everything. It affects every single aspect of our lives.
Yeah, absolutely. Whether our personal life or our business life, money, you know, unless we're going to live in a cave and eat fish, we need money. So,
yeah,
you know,
exactly.
It doesn't matter how much, just depends on what you do. But money is definitely a part of our lives. And my goal is to help people go, money, yeah, I do that. It shouldn't be this big, huge, overshadowing problem and stress and everything else. So we'll talk about a little bit about that today.
Good. Well, I'm really excited. So why don't we get started? Because I know our audience are people who you know, want short snippets of information here, and that's why they hang out with me regularly. So why don't I get off to the first question I'd like to ask you that I'm curious about, and that is that what do you think the biggest mistake women make around money? And what do you recommend they do to fix it?
Well, I thought about this. There's a few, but I think I touch on the biggest one is that they're not looking at their financial situation. And so what I mean by
Mm.
that is they don't know their numbers. And so whether you're in business or whether in your personal life, do you really know your numbers? How much is coming in? How much is going out? How much you have debt? How much you have saving? And especially for women in business, and I know a lot of your audience is solopreneurs and they don't separate the money, right? Their money is just all one kind of big pot. And so being a solopreneur is so important to separate those numbers and actually know what those numbers are. And I think a lot of the times that there's just a fear that women have around, well, actually, I had one woman say to me is that if I look at my numbers, then I'm going to have to do something with them.
Now, isn't that interesting? So you see them actually avoiding. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, they're actually avoiding the numbers. And even if women know the numbers, I mean, do they have a plan with it? So, there's a lot of women don't really understand how much money they make, how much money is going out. And what I see is that if there's no plan around that, if you can't, for instance, you can't make a plan if you don't know the numbers to put on that plan. And so that's the biggest mistake I think women make around money is not really knowing their numbers. Bills might be there over on the side, but are you paying them? Looking at your accounts, making a plan, especially if you're charging like a coach, for instance. One of the other biggest mistakes that women make, not even about knowing their numbers, is valuing their worth to get that money coming in and charging enough too.
Yeah, I absolutely see this, all the times that and all the clients that I coach, the majority of people have a really difficult time, especially when they're in a service related business. Product, well, they know there's a cost involved in it, and there's some, if it's a retail store or whatever. But when it comes to providing a service, there's no question about it. So you've really identified, from my perspective, coaching for the last 17 years, that's one of the pieces that's right in place. So, Shari, before I go on to another question, that just brought up something for me, and then what would be their very first step? Because I have a lot of, and I'm going to say women entrepreneurs, that they never learned how to look at money. In fact, what they often say is, I'm not good, in financial things. So they do avoid it. So, baby steps here. What would be the very first step when you say plan, so that they don't see that as being overwhelming? What would be the very first step with respect to understanding their numbers in a business, so that they can then start at least seeing what the reality is? Whether it's good or bad, they need to know what the reality is.
For sure. The first step that I always do is get them to actually figure out what their numbers are, like find out their cash flow. Right. And so people go, oh no, you're going to get me to budget. And I'm like, you can't even budget until you know your numbers. So one of the things, and actually it's going to be a special offer for the listeners when they go to my website, sharimolchan.com. I've got a 3 video series on how to do cash flow. And basically it's you get where all you're spending your money. Now, I always recommend for clients either using money track cash management programs. And I'm not talking, you don't have to get out and be a rocket scientist program that you got to learn everything. There's simple ones out there like mint.com that can actually download, and you can categorize where you're spending your money. Or my favorite, which I've been using for probably 12 years, is Quicken, Quicken. And if you go to quicken.ca, it's the cash manager program that you want to use. That's the beginning. Know what your numbers are. Where are you spending it? Just put it down on a piece of paper, even if you don't want to do a program. Like some people, I've got a client who's 72. She's like, I can't do that computer stuff. So we're just writing down your numbers, just actually getting real with where your money's going. That is the first step, and actually the hardest. Because people, again, remember I was saying about they don't want to look at their numbers because they're going to have to do something about it. But it's such an eye-opener, and it takes away the stress because now the numbers are there. Now we can do something with it. Now you can plan. Now you can say, oh, okay, I'm spending $500 on dining out in my business every week. Yikes, that's not what I want, right? Or every month, 500 a week. That would be a pretty lavish week. But
yeah, you're right.
yeah, and that actually happened to me. What in my business I was doing well, but I was just handing off my receipts to my bookkeeper. And when I actually hired an assistant who had bookkeeping experience, I got her to start doing it, and that's how I realized how much I was spending just on dining out was anywhere from $400 to $600 a month. I'm like, that's a third of my trip to Mexico. So I'd rather do that than dining out. So I think for women, just start tracking where you're spending your money and separate your personal and your business so that you can see where you're going. And it's once you do that, then we can make a plan, and then you can make the next step and decide where you're spending that money.
Great. So that's really good first steps. Figure out what money's coming in, where you're getting your money from. Second one is what money is going out, and then separate out personal and business. So those are three really simple strategies right there that's going to take, what I'm hearing you say, is a lot of the stress away, because now at least they know what the numbers are. Because avoiding doesn't solve anything. It's not going to miraculously go away, the financial problems.
No.
Yeah, and Shari, you mentioned that that trip to Mexico. What I would also say is you could use that money to join another networking group if your business is one that's served well by face-to-face interaction and building relationships. You could use that money on upgrading your website so that you get more traffic. You could do some search engine optimization. There's so many places where that money can be spent versus it just going somewhere else. So great tips. That's fabulous.
Yeah,
so
and that all blends into having a plan, right? So
yes.
You have a vision for your money. So first you got to have the vision, and then, okay, where is my money going?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the very first steps. So then the next question is then what do you see, and we may have already covered this, but what would you say the biggest barrier that occurs for women around getting help?
Three big things: guilt, shame, and embarrassment. I don't know how many times I talk to so many women, and they feel that depending on how long they've been in business, that they should know better. I've been such, the self-talk is I'm such an idiot, or if I tell somebody my situation, they're like, how could you do that, or how could you get yourself into that, or why didn't you know this? So that's the biggest, I think, barrier for women, is actually asking for help because of that embarrassment. I had one woman come to see me about her money situation, and she actually said that she felt like she'd come out of the closet and finally admitted that the truth about how much debt she had, or her spending habits, like she had never talked about it. She was hiding money from her spouse and the situation. And there's some real fear that builds up and builds up and builds up, and it's literally making people sick for just all this pent-up anxiety that they have over money, when there's just simple things that you can do, and find somebody like you or myself that won't judge you, and just say, hey, you know what, where you are is where you are. Let's just fix it from where it is without being judged. Because I'll tell you, I have a lot of t-shirts. Been there, done that, been in debt, hid money, 3 divorces. So I get it, and I'm not one to judge anybody, because I've been up and I've been down, right? So it's just important about finding somebody that you really will listen to you. And I think with women, they get so embarrassed to tell their issues, and that's really the biggest barrier that I find for women. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that thing that's called money shame, isn't it? Yeah, very interesting. So that's a really key piece. So for our audience that are here, that are listening or watching this today, if you have identified and that resonates with you, just know that we've all been there, and a lot of us are still there. So, really just take control and say, okay, well, this is where it is. You're going to draw a line in the sand and you're going to do something differently. And I would, I would concur with Shari that at that point you become very empowered about it. Even if the numbers aren't what you want them to be, at least you become empowered with it. So that's great. And that's great awareness. Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm sure it will serve a lot of people.
It's like learning another subject, right? It's just,
Right.
it's, you don't know what you don't know. And when
Yeah.
you know better, you'll do better.
Yeah. Yeah. And, there's some pretty simple ways to learn what some of the words mean. I mean, sometimes I think we can even get baffled by some of the language. And so it's really important that they, as you said, find somebody that you trust, and also someone that can speak a language that you can understand and make it easy for you to understand as well. So great advice. Yeah. So then Shari, what's one way for women to improve to remove their money fear when making important decisions in business? Do you have a strategy for them because what I'm hearing you say is that fear comes up for them. So what's one strategy they can do that's really a surefire way to remove that fear so they can make the right decisions and make them based on moving forward versus fear?
Yeah, one of the things is looking at the reasons what's coming up for them, their beliefs. And a lot of the times it's limiting beliefs about themselves. And, one of the things that I do, my free video series that people are going to be able to access, one of the things there is about removing your limiting beliefs, right? It's money from the inside out. Money is, it starts here. It really starts here with what do we want, and our unconscious mind over the years has piled in lots of reasons and what you've learned from other people, the media, family. It's amazing, right, that all these come out. Like, for instance, I had one lady, we uncovered that her dad had kept saying to her, make sure you make enough money just to get by. Make sure you get survive. And so here she was in a business as a massage therapist. Guess what she was doing? Making enough money to get by. Yeah. But she wasn't moving over that. And that voice, that belief that she had that just, pay your bills and you're good. Well, after uncovering those beliefs and realizing, well, no, that's not what I want. So again, it's uncovering the beliefs and then asking the question to yourself, what do I want? And when she answered that, she wanted to do more things, then her income doubled. Because now she had a vision, she had a goal, she was realizing, wait a second, this isn't what I want, right? And why do I feel this way? So it's tapping in, and that usually takes help for somebody to do it, because when we're in, we can't see the trees for the forest, right? So yeah. I always say when we're in the picture, we can't see the frame.
Yeah, so absolutely.
I guess somebody else comes in and you're just talking to them, they can go, oh, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? Yeah. And so it's just writing out what that belief is and just finding out what's true and putting on a piece of paper, pros and cons, or there's all kinds of different strategies for doing that. But one of the things is just really feeling that fear. What is it? Mm-hmm. And then you can deal with it, right? But if you don't even know what that belief or that fear is, you're just kind of running around in circles, right?
Right. So then I guess my final question for you is, are there any, this kind of leads directly from because you mentioned fear. What would be a strategy that someone, maybe one, closing tip around that fear, that stress that they have, that would empower them to move forward and start taking charge? I think that'd be a really good takeaway for our listeners today.
Number one, put themselves first. Stop everything and just what is important to you. What do you want to do? And really sit down and do some goal setting and build a plan, right? Connect your heart to your head, because it really doesn't matter about the money. Because a lot of people say, well, I'm going to make $10,000 a month. And I'm like, great, why? And they'll say, because I want to. But you've got to have, so the final thing to really do it is figure out what it is you want and why you want it. The hows will come later. We go to how all the time, and then we sabotage ourselves. And I think that's why so many business owners, right? They have this big goal, but they haven't really connected their heart to it. Yeah. And it's, what do you really, really want, and why do you want it? So I always recommend the book Start With Why by Simon Sinek. really tap into what's important to you. And then the world's your oyster, because when you're connected to it, everything's on fire and you can go for it, and the money will come
Yeah.
depending on how much you want. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, and what I'm hearing you say in that is that when you're really connected with why, what your purpose is, that internal driver, then you'll have the resources to work through the fear. Because there are going to be fears, there's going to be disappointments, there's going to be stress in moving forward always, because it's a new place for them. And what I'm hearing you say is that when you're really connected with what that internal motivator is for you, it'll give you the resources to be able to do that. So that's a great closing tip for people. Well, thank you, Shari. Wow, that was a lot that we packed into a quick episode here. Yes, it does. And so, again, thank you very much. And might just have to have you back again, and we might go a little deeper into this whole topic of money and some of the pieces, and maybe even get some real specific for the audience here. So again, everyone, I first of all want to thank Shari Molchan for being my expert guest today and sharing her wisdom around how to take care of all the money issues you have around business that are holding you back from the success that you deserve. Make sure that you hang out with me on a weekly basis. You can go to hangoutwithcoachkerry.com. Kerry spelled Kerry, and you can see past episodes there, and other tips and strategies are available for you. So please do take advantage of those. So hang out with me, make that a habit every week to hang out with me. And Shari, why don't you give people your website again, because you've got some free videos there on money that you mentioned to them, and I want to make sure that they know about that as well.
Yeah, thanks, Kerry. If they go to sharimolchan.com, and it's on the bottom of your screen there, I have a 3 video series called Money from the Inside Out. And it's going to look at just exactly what I talked about, is helping you to find some tools to help you find your vision, cash flow sheet there, and some instructions on how to get those numbers down on paper. And then the last point, which I made about, is having a plan. So it's a little bit of wish brainstorming, and I've got instructions there. So it's my gift to you and your viewers.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Shari. I really appreciate your generosity of time and your generosity of your wisdom with my audience. And again, I hope we can have you back again at another time.
Yep.
So everyone have an inspired week. And Shari, thanks again.
Thank you, Kerry.
Okay. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.